Every single year, over 300,000 older adults are hospitalized because of fall-related injuries, and in nearly half of those cases, the culprit isn't age or illness. It's shoes. The wrong footwear. And yet, no one's really talking about it. Let me introduce you to Gerald, a 73-year-old former librarian whose life was turned upside down one rainy afternoon. All it took was one careless step and a pair of worn-out house slippers. He fell. His hip shattered. And in the emergency room, a quiet but chilling sentence was spoken: "You may never walk unassisted again." But what if I told you that wasn't the end of Gerald's story? By the time this video ends, you'll see how he went from barely hobbling to the mailbox, to hiking uphill with his grandchildren again. Not because of surgery or miracle drugs, but because he stopped making the 8 most dangerous footwear mistakes seniors unknowingly commit every day. Welcome to Wise Elders' Tales, a place where timeless wisdom meets real-world science, and where we help you turn every year of aging into a chapter of strength, grace, and clarity. You see, the shoes that once carried you comfortably in your 40s could now quietly become a hazard in your 70s. That's not fear-mongering. That's physiology. Because aging changes the way your feet interact with the ground beneath you, and your shoes must evolve with that reality. There are 3 major changes that occur in your feet over time, and yet hardly anyone talks about them. First, the fat padding beneath your soles thins out dramatically, exposing bones and nerves to impact with every step. Second, the nerve endings that help you balance, called proprioceptors, decline by nearly 30% after the age of 65. Third, your joints become more reactive to even minor misalignments, which can trigger widespread pain from a seemingly innocent shoe. Gerald had to learn all this the hard way. "I just kept wearing the same kind of shoes I always wore," he told me quietly. "Nobody ever told me my feet had changed." That stops today. We're going to walk through the 8 types of footwear that can quietly steal your mobility, independence, and joy. But we won't stop there. You'll also learn 3 evidence-based solutions used by top podiatrists to protect their own aging parents, but rarely shared publicly. These are the same strategies that help Gerald regain his freedom. And they just might transform the way you move through life, too. If you find this kind of life-changing knowledge valuable, consider subscribing and turning on the bell icon. It helps us reach more people who need this information, and your future self will thank you. And now, let me ask you something real. Have you ever felt trapped by foot pain? Has a seemingly minor issue made you avoid walking, or stop doing something you once loved? If so, drop your experience in the comments below. You might be surprised how many others are quietly struggling with the exact same thing. Let's help each other walk stronger. Footwear mistake number 1, the sensible heel, a lifetime of silent damage. Let's begin with a shoe choice that might seem harmless, some might even call it practical. But it hides one of the most dangerous biomechanical traps for aging feet, the mid-height heel. Whenever you wear heels, even as modest as 2 inches, your body subtly shifts forward. That shift forces the front of your foot to absorb pressure it was never designed to carry. In fact, studies show that just 2 inches of elevation increases forefoot pressure by a staggering 75%. That pressure compacts your toes into a tight, unnatural position thousands of times a day. And the damage doesn't stop at your feet. Your knees, hips, and lower back all begin to misalign as your posture compensates. The result? A slow-building chain reaction of imbalance, joint wear, and chronic pain. Martha, the wife of our friend Gerald, discovered this the hard way at 68. She'd spent decades working in finance, wearing what she believed were reasonable office heels, low, wide, and modest. "I thought I was being smart by avoiding the stilettos," she told me. "But when I finally retired, my feet just gave up on me." She had ignored the bunions for years. But once her body slowed down and the daily motion stopped hiding the pain, the truth hit hard. Walking became unbearable. Eventually, she had no choice but to undergo corrective surgery, a painful procedure with a 12-week recovery that forced her to cancel the retirement travel plan she and Gerald had waited years to enjoy. If you've ever seen a pressure map of the foot inside a mid-heel shoe, you'll notice alarming red zones across the forefoot. Over time, these pressure points begin to reshape the bones themselves. Consider this: by age 60, the average foot has taken over 75 million steps. If the shoe isn't right, every step is a chance for damage. And here's the silent truth many doctors rarely say out loud: it's not just the height of the heel that matters, it's the years of accumulation. The damage often doesn't show until later in life, when the fat cushion beneath the footwear's thin and can no longer mask what's been brewing for decades. Even if you only wear heels now and then, the legacy of your earlier choices may already be altering your mobility. Foot deformities like bunions, hammertoes, and a shortened Achilles tendon aren't just cosmetic. They significantly increase your risk of falls and of developing persistent pain that robs you of your independence. Now, let me ask you this. How many of us still keep a pair of heels in the closet, just in case there's that one special occasion? If this insight makes you pause for a moment, you're not alone. Stick around. In the next segment, we'll explore another common shoe that might feel soft and cozy, but is quietly sabotaging your balance with every step. Footwear mistake number 2, the flip-flop trap, summer's most misleading comfort. The second footwear mistake might catch you off guard, especially if you live in a warm climate. It's the casual flip-flop. Easy going. Familiar. But behind its carefree appearance hides one of the most destructive choices for aging feet. With every step in flip-flops, your toes must constantly grip and curl to keep the sandal from sliding off. That small act, repeated thousands of times, alters your natural gait and places strain across the entire foot. Unlike supportive shoes that move with your body, flip-flops force your foot to work against them. And that's the last thing aging feet need. Even worse, flip-flops provide virtually no arch support. And when it comes to shock absorption, they're practically non-existent. Each step sends raw, unfiltered impact straight into your bones and joints. A younger body, with springy soft tissue, might absorb the blow. But after 60, those repeated shocks accelerate joint breakdown and wear. Gerald learned this the hard way during what was meant to be a relaxing retirement trip to Florida. I wore flip-flops everywhere, he told me. By the pool, to restaurants, walking up and down the beach. I didn't think twice. But by the third day, something changed. I could barely put weight on my heel. What Gerald experienced was plantar fasciitis, an inflammation of the thick band of tissue running from heel to toes. It took 6 months of physical therapy to walk pain-free again. That was half a year of limited independence, for a single vacation. There's a hidden truth that many older adults don't realize until it's too late: foot pain doesn't stay in the foot. When your stride shifts to avoid discomfort, your knees take on unnatural stress. Your hips begin compensating. And your lower back absorbs the full force of the imbalance. One poor footwear choice sets off a ripple effect across the entire musculoskeletal system. Even if you've worn flip-flops your whole life without problems, aging changes the equation. The support you never needed before becomes essential after 60. What was once harmless is now hazardous. And here's the kicker: the next common shoe mistake is something almost everyone wears daily without ever realizing the long-term damage it causes. And chances are, you're wearing them right now. Footwear mistake number 3, the good-looking sneaker that's silently failing you. This next mistake might be hiding in plain sight right on your feet, in fact. We're talking about those athletic shoes that look just fine on the outside, but have quietly lost their ability to protect you. Most older adults don't realize that sneakers lose up to 40% of their shock absorption and support within just 6 months of regular use, long before any visible signs of wear appear. The midsole, the spongy layer between your foot and the pavement, is responsible for absorbing the force of every step. And as that foam quietly compresses and breaks down over time, your body becomes the shock absorber instead. Suddenly, your knees, hips, and spine are taking the full hit from forces 3 to 5 times your body weight. It's a silent breakdown, and one that hits our generation especially hard. Many of us were raised by parents who lived through the Great Depression, who taught us to use it up, wear it out. That frugal mindset, paired with the realities of a fixed retirement income, means we often hang on to shoes long past their functional lifespan. Gerald was a textbook example. My sneakers looked great even after 3 years, he told me. No holes. Still clean. The soles weren't worn through. I figured they were fine. What he didn't realize was that the mysterious knee pain that slowly crept in, making him more sedentary over time, was directly tied to those overused shoes. Here's a quick test you can do right now. Grab your most used pair of walking shoes and try twisting them from heel to toe. If they twist easily, the structural support has already collapsed even if they still look perfectly good. A truly supported shoe should only bend at the ball of the foot, not twist like a dish rag. When Gerald finally replaced those still good shoes with a proper pair, his knee pain disappeared in just 2 weeks. A $70 investment in the right footwear saved him from what could have been a $40,000 knee replacement. So ask yourself, when was the last time you replaced your walking shoes? Be honest. If it's been more than 6 months of frequent use, today's reminder could save you from unnecessary pain and a hefty medical bill down the road. And the next footwear mistake? It's hiding in plain sight, inside your home, something millions of people rely on for comfort, but that may be slowly undoing your body's balance with every step. Footwear mistake number 4, the comfort that betrays, backless house slippers. Take a look next to your favorite chair. Chances are, your next footwear risk is right there waiting silently. Backless house slippers. They feel soft, familiar, easy to slip on. And yet, they might be the most dangerous pair of shoes in your home. When you walk in backless slippers, your natural stride changes without you even realizing it. Each step forces your toes to curl and grip just to keep the slippers from sliding off. That grip shortens your stride and adds tension up the entire leg. Your heel lifts earlier than it should. And ankle stability? It can drop by as much as 65%. These subtle shifts may seem small, but together, they dramatically reduce your sense of balance. And here's the troubling part, you don't even feel it happening. The data is clear and disturbing. Nearly 4 out of every 10 indoor falls among older adults are linked to poor house footwear. And among those? Backless slippers top the list. These accidents don't usually happen during major movement. They happen in quiet moments, answering the door, stepping onto a rug, walking up or down a stair. Small missteps. Big consequences. Gerald witnessed it firsthand when his 78-year-old neighbor, Ruth, a vibrant, independent woman, fell down the stairs wearing her usual soft backless slippers. She'd worn them for years, he said. But the EMTs told me they see this exact scenario every week. The fall shattered Ruth's wrist and left her unable to bathe or dress herself for nearly 3 months. And that's what makes these slippers so deceptive. They feel safe. They're cozy. Easy. But that same comfort quietly undermines your stability with every step. And after 65, when your balance systems are already declining, the risk multiplies. So here's a question worth asking. Would you drive a car without wearing your seatbelt just because it feels more comfortable? Yet millions of older adults are choosing convenience over safety every single day, trading independence for ease. But there's good news. Leading podiatrists and orthopedic experts are now recommending a new type of indoor footwear. It's nothing like the old slippers. In clinical trials, it's been shown to reduce fall risk by up to 62%. We'll talk about what that alternative looks like soon. But first, let's talk about a footwear mistake that's even more common, and it starts with something you think must be safe: walking barefoot at home. Footwear mistake number 5, the invisible danger beneath, slippery, worn-out soles. Sometimes, the most dangerous risks are the ones we literally stand on. The 5th footwear mistake is likely right in front of you, on shoes that look perfectly normal, but hide a dangerous flaw underneath: smooth, slippery soles. These quiet threats turn everyday surfaces into accident zones. Think about dress shoes and loafers, classic staples in many older adults' closets. Now look closer at their soles. Over time, the grip grooves wear away until there's nothing left to hold the ground beneath you. Even brand new dress shoes often sacrifice safety for style, featuring slick leather bottoms with almost no traction. What many people don't realize is that worn soles can reduce your grip by up to 75%. That becomes dangerously relevant the moment you walk across a freshly cleaned tile floor, step into a slightly damp bathroom, or catch a bit of morning dew on your outdoor steps. Gerald learned this just moments before a fall that changed everything. I was in the kitchen wearing my favorite leather-soled loafers, he recalled. My wife had just wiped the counter, and a few drops had fallen onto the floor. I stepped, and my foot flew out from under me. I didn't even have time to react. That minor slip didn't cause a fall right away, but it twisted Gerald's back as he tried to steady himself. What followed was weeks of back pain, and then, a far more serious fall not long after. The warning signs were there. But like many older adults, Gerald chalked it up to being a little clumsy instead of recognizing his footwear was the real culprit. Here's something you can try right now. While wearing your usual indoor shoes, step onto your bathroom's tile floor. Gently try sliding one foot forward. If it moves easily, you're walking on danger every day. A safe shoe should offer real resistance. Enough grip to keep you stable even on slick surfaces. Have you ever had a near slip and just blamed yourself for being awkward? If so, share your story in the comments. Your experience could be the wake-up call someone else needs before the next slip turns serious. Are you still with me? Good, because what we're about to uncover next is even more deceptive, a footwear habit so common it seems harmless, but could be draining strength from your legs one step at a time. Footwear mistake number 6, the silent squeeze, narrow dress shoes and the aging foot. This next mistake is one that millions of older adults make without even realizing it because it's rooted in something most people never think to question. Your feet have changed. And no, not just a little. As we age, the ligaments and tendons that hold the foot bones together begin to loosen. Decades of standing, walking, and bearing weight cause the bones to subtly spread. By the time you reach your 70s, your foot can be nearly half a size wider than it was in your 40s. But here's the catch, most people never adjust their shoe size to match. Instead, they continue buying the same size they've worn for decades. And when it comes to dress shoes, especially those sleek, narrow ones, the consequences go far beyond discomfort. Forcing aging feet into tight-fitting shoes doesn't just squeeze your toes, it restricts blood flow to your extremities. That alone is dangerous, especially for those with diabetes or circulation issues. But what's even more concerning is how compressed nerves inside the shoe can trigger or worsen peripheral neuropathy, a condition that causes burning, numbness, and weakness in the feet. And when you can't fully feel the ground beneath you, your risk of falling skyrockets. Gerald found this out the hard way while attending his grandson's wedding. I hadn't worn dress shoes in years, he said. But I figured the old pair in my closet still fit. They didn't. By the time the reception started, my feet were on fire, he recalled. But what happened afterwards scared me the most. 6 hours of nerve compression from those narrow shoes triggered lingering symptoms, temporary numbness in parts of his feet, instability, and frequent stumbles that lasted for weeks. That's the ripple effect, one pair of shoes, 1 day of pain, months of impaired movement. Foot pain changes how you walk. And when your stride shifts, it's your knees, hips, and lower back that pay the price. What many people don't realize is that foot width changes often occur independently of foot length. So even if your old size feels right lengthwise, it may be dangerously tight across the width. That's why your shoes can fit and still hurt you. So here's a quiet truth that few doctors say out loud. 1 day in the wrong shoes can take away months of confident, independent walking. And the next mistake we're about to explore? It might be happening right now, as you watch this video, because almost no one warns you about it, not even your doctor. Footwear mistake number 7, the myth of barefoot freedom, and the hidden price after 60. The 7th footwear mistake? It's not a shoe at all. It's the growing habit, especially among older adults, of going barefoot around the house. At first glance, it seems harmless. Natural. Comfortable. But after 60, walking barefoot becomes a gamble your body may no longer be equipped to win. Most older adults don't realize that walking barefoot increases fall risk by up to 37% compared to wearing proper indoor footwear with support and cushioning. Without that support, your balance systems must work overtime, especially on hard surfaces like tile or hardwood floors. Modern flooring brings another silent threat, impact force. When you walk barefoot on tile or wood, the force that travels up your legs can be up to 7 times higher than when walking on grass or carpet. For aging joints already showing signs of arthritis or degeneration, this added shock accelerates damage and pain. Gerald discovered this risk the painful way. One morning I stepped on something tiny in the kitchen, probably just a breadcrumb, he recalled. Didn't even notice at first. But because I have diabetic neuropathy, that tiny scratch became a serious wound. That seemingly minor injury turned into a foot ulcer that took 3 months of advanced wound care to fully heal. This challenges the romantic idea that going barefoot is always healthy. While younger bodies, with full fat padding, strong arches, and sensitive nerve feedback, might benefit occasionally from barefoot movement, the aging foot needs something different: protection and reliable support. Especially on man-made surfaces our ancestors never had to face. As foot surgeon Dr. Sarah Jenkins puts it, barefoot walking may suit some, but for my older patients, it's like taking the shock absorbers off a car with a damaged suspension. So if you're watching this video barefoot right now, it may be time to rethink what your feet really need. Because up next, we'll reveal the 8th and final footwear mistake, one that nearly 90% of older adults make every single day, without knowing it. Footwear mistake number 8, one pair for everything, the costly convenience. This final footwear mistake might be the most common of all. It's the mindset that says, one good pair of shoes should be enough. That simple idea sounds practical. But for older adults, it's quietly risky because it ignores how our feet and our movements change with age. Different activities place very different demands on the body. The lateral stability needed for gardening isn't the same as the shock absorption required for walking long distances, or the firm grip necessary to prevent slips on wet surfaces. And yet research shows that nearly 78% of older adults try to use one good pair of shoes for everything. Gerald, our old friend, fell into that trap too. I had a nice pair of New Balance sneakers, nearly $100, he said. I wore them for everything: daily walks, yard work, even church. Dress shoes hurt my feet too much. It seemed smart, convenient, economical. But that choice quietly accelerated the breakdown of his mobility. When gardening, Gerald's walking shoes didn't offer enough lateral support for squatting or pivoting, placing strain on his knees. During his walks, dirt and debris from the garden reduced traction, making every sidewalk stroll a little more dangerous. And by wearing them non-stop, his shoes wore out far faster than intended. That's why specialists today emphasize something called the activity zone model, a smarter way to match footwear to function. They recommend splitting your footwear needs into 3 categories. Supportive daily shoes for errands and light walking. Activity-specific shoes for gardening, hiking, or exercise. Indoor safety shoes for protection and balance at home. Each type is engineered for the motions and surfaces it's meant to handle. Many older adults make the costly mistake of investing in one expensive shoe, hoping it will cover all needs. But here's the truth. One ER visit after a fall, at $300 or more, costs more than buying all 3 specialized pairs combined. In other words, the cheapest option is often having the right shoe for the right job. So let me leave you with this. If your shoes are doing more than one job, they might be doing none of them well. And when it comes to your health, your balance, and your freedom, that's too high a price to pay. Life-changing solution number 1, get professionally fitted, because your feet have changed more than you think. Now comes the part that turned everything around for Thomas and thousands of others just like him. 3 science-backed solutions helped dramatically reduce his risk of falling and brought back pain-free mobility, often within just weeks of applying them. Let's begin with the first. It sounds simple, but for most older adults, it's nothing short of revolutionary. Get professionally fitted by someone who understands the aging foot. Here's a staggering fact. More than 80% of adults are wearing the wrong size shoe. That insight comes from foot health research showing that most people are walking around in shoes that are too short, too narrow, or both. What's even more concerning, your correct shoe size changes over time. After age 60, most people experience a natural widening of the foot, often by half a size or more, due to loosening of ligaments and changes in foot structure. And no, this isn't about the old metal foot measurer from your childhood. A proper professional fitting today should involve several specific steps. First, both feet should be measured separately while standing, not sitting, because weight-bearing changes foot shape. Second, width should be measured at multiple points, not just across the forefoot. Third, your arch height and flexibility should be evaluated to determine your ideal support level. Finally, a gait analysis should be done, observing how you actually walk, to identify pressure zones and biomechanical imbalances. Thomas was skeptical until his discomfort finally pushed him through the doors of a specialty shoe store. The associate spent nearly 40 minutes with me, he recalled. She told me I'd been wearing shoes a full width too narrow for over 20 years. And when I slipped on the right size, it felt like my feet could finally breathe again. So how do you find the right person to do this? Look for stores that specialize in comfort footwear or orthopedic shoes, not your average chain shoe outlet. Ask whether the staff are trained or certified in fitting shoes for older adults. In some areas, you might even find a podorthist, a trained expert in footwear for medical conditions, who can provide the highest level of support. And when you go, don't be afraid to ask detailed questions like, how does my arch height affect the kind of shoe I should wear? Based on how I walk, where am I placing the most pressure? With my current foot shape, what features should I prioritize in a shoe? So, when was the last time you had your feet professionally measured? For most people, the honest answer is, never, or decades ago. Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video inspires you to finally get remeasured, let us know what you discovered about your real shoe size. Life-changing solution number 2, the 3-zone shoe system, one of the smartest moves you can make after 60. The second strategy that transformed Thomas's mobility wasn't about a miracle pill or an expensive medical device. It was about something deceptively simple yet incredibly powerful. Adopting the 3-zone system for footwear. This approach begins with a truth that most people overlook. No single pair of shoes can safely support all the movements you make in a day. As we age, our bodies require specific types of support for different environments and tasks. That's where the 3-zone system comes in. Zone 1, indoor shoes, your foundation for fall prevention. Your home might feel like the safest place in the world. But it's also where most falls happen. That's why your first zone is the shoes you wear inside. Ideal indoor shoes should include closed back designed to maintain ankle stability. Non-slip rubber soles that grip on tile, hardwood, or laminate. Easy on and off design that doesn't sacrifice security. Thomas realized that wearing supportive indoor shoes dramatically reduced his morning stiffness simply because his feet were properly supported the moment he got out of bed. Zone 2, daily support shoes, for errands, walks, and routine activity. This is your workhorse pair, the shoes you wear for everyday movement, like walking the dog, grocery shopping, or seeing the grandkids. The right daily shoes should offer arch support tailored to your foot shape. Cushioning that absorbs impact based on your body weight. Stability features such as wider soles and secure lacing. After switching to properly fitted support shoes, Thomas's knee pain vanished within just a few weeks. Zone 3, activity-specific shoes, specialized tools for specialized tasks. Think of these as the tools you use for different jobs. Walking shoes should bend at the toes and cushion at the heel. Gardening footwear needs ankle support and grippy tread for uneven ground. Dress shoes can still look elegant while hiding orthopedic support beneath their design. The genius of this system isn't just physical. It's financial. Even on a fixed retirement income, Thomas made the 3-zone system work for him with a bit of smart budgeting. I invested most in my daily pair, he said. That's what I wear 60% of the time. For other occasions, I look for discounts or off-season sales. In the end, it still costs me less than all the pain meds I used to buy every year. But what made the biggest difference of all was the third solution. Even when everything else failed, that final strategy helped older adults like Thomas regain the one thing they feared losing most: independent movement. Life-changing solution number 3, orthotic inserts and personalized adjustments, the unsung hero of pain-free movement. The third and most powerful solution doesn't begin at your knees, or hips, or even your back. It begins at the foundation of everything: your feet. For Thomas and thousands like him, one simple shift transformed not only his mobility, but his entire quality of life. That shift was personalized foot support. You might be tempted to think orthotic inserts are just cushy pads you buy at the drugstore. But there's a world of difference between store-bought insoles and true orthotics. Here's a simple way to think about it. A basic insole is like reading glasses from the gas station. A real orthotic is like prescription lenses made just for your eyes. Orthotics don't just cushion your foot. They correct subtle but dangerous imbalances in how your foot moves, stands, and absorbs shock, something that becomes critical as we age. Thomas's story. After years of knee pain, Thomas discovered a middle ground solution that didn't cost $400 or require a podiatrist. He found heat-moldable orthotic insoles under $40. You warm them up in the oven, he explained, then stand on them to mold to your own feet. It's like they knew exactly where my arches needed support. And it worked. Clinical studies show that heat-moldable insoles provide 70 to 80% of the benefit of custom orthotics. At just 15% of the cost. But wait, there's more you can do. If you're on Medicare and have a condition like severe diabetic neuropathy or major foot deformities, you may qualify for fully covered therapeutic orthotics. Key phrase to tell your doctor. Backhand index pointing right, therapeutic orthotics for fall prevention. That framing often makes it eligible for insurance coverage. Other small adjustments, big gains. Professional shoe stretching, about $15, can relieve tight spots instantly. Gel inserts or pressure point pads can turn painful shoes into comfortable ones. Replacing flat insoles with shock-absorbing gel can reduce joint impact by up to 40%. Thomas now applies these principles to every pair of shoes he owns. It's like I turned all my shoes into custom footwear without buying anything new. And the results? Less pain, better balance, and confidence in every step. Have you ever tried orthotic inserts, custom or otherwise? Share your story in the comments. You never know, your tip could change someone's life. Returning to Franklin's journey. 6 months after embracing these 3 life-altering strategies, Franklin's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. I used to take painkillers every single day, he confided, his voice quivering with emotion. Now, I walk 5,000 steps daily without a trace of pain. The fear of falling that once held me hostage is gone. His physical progress could be measured on paper. His balance score improved by 38%. And not a single fall since he changed his footwear approach. But it's the emotional transformation that tells the real story. Just last weekend, I took my grandkids hiking through the woods. Franklin smiled, handing me a photo of himself navigating rocky trails with confidence. My 9-year-old grandson asked, "Grandpa, why didn't you ever do this before?" I couldn't bring myself to tell him. I used to be too afraid. Think about that, from being housebound and quietly missing family gatherings, to reclaiming adventure and laughter, one sure-footed step at a time. Here's the truth we must all carry forward. Backhand index pointing right, the shoes you choose today shape the life you'll walk into tomorrow. It's not just about safety, it's about freedom. Dignity. Connection. Let's quickly recap the 8 footwear mistakes silently stealing mobility from older adults. High heels. Flip-flops. Worn-out sneakers. Backless indoor slippers. Slippery dress shoes. Narrow, tight-fitting shoes. Going barefoot. The one-pair-fits-all mindset. And in contrast, the 3 life-changing solutions that brought Franklin back to life. White heavy checkmark professional shoe fitting tailored to aging feet. White heavy checkmark, the 3-zone system for purposeful footwear. White heavy checkmark, customized orthotic insoles for realignment and comfort. If one of these mistakes surprised you today, tell us in the comments. Your story might help someone else catch a danger they didn't see coming. If you want more real, practical health wisdom for your golden years, hit subscribe and tap the bell, so you never miss a step toward better living. Backhand index pointing right, because your future mobility is too precious to leave it up to chance.